Hi guys, it's Didi here, and today's video is about the voices that mattered in my life. Some of you asked me to do a video about personal development books that made a difference in my life, and the truth is I'm a personal development junkie, really junkie. I read mainly personal development books or psychology, and I also go to lots of seminars, workshops, trainings that are related to my personal growth. And it's very hard to come down to 5 books that made a difference, but these are the 5 that I see myself going back to when I need to give myself a boost of motivation. So the first book in my list is Man's Search for Meaning from Viktor Frankl. Tiny little book, full of wisdom though. Viktor Frankl is an Austrian neurologist and psychotherapist who was sent to the concentration camps in Auschwitz during the Second World War. And there, as you can imagine, he witnessed horrible things, and he lost all his family in the gas cameras. And when he went out in 1946, he wrote this book during 9 consecutive days. This, by the way, is one of the best sellers in the last century, so it's pretty popular book in the Western countries. In the book, he talks not only about his experience in the camp, but also he describes the logotherapy. This is his psychotherapeutic method. Logos comes from loosely from the Greek word meaning, and he says that one of the main purposes in life is to find our meaning. And regardless of our circumstances, they can be horrible, and these are circumstances that we don't have any control on, like his situation in the concentration camp. The last human freedom is the fact that we can choose what meaning we assign to every situation. This is a very powerful message for all of us, because sometimes we complain about things that are outside of our control. Many of us find ourselves complaining from politicians, from the economical situation, lack of work because nobody is choosing us. And we have to realize that in every situation we have the power to choose what sort of meaning we assign to this situation. So there is a stimuli and reaction, but there is this pause between the stimuli and reaction, which is our understanding of what sort of meaning we want to assign. Very beautiful book. I really recommend you guys to read it, because it can change your life completely. My second pick is Mindset from Carol Dweck, and I already spoke about this book in another video. So Carol Dweck, she's a Stanford psychologist. She recognized that our behavior, the way we live our life, the way we respond to certain things is based on the belief that we hold about ourselves. And she describes the fixed mindset and the growth mindset, and how our behavior in life, how our success in life is very much determined by what sort of mindset we have. So fixed mindset is when we think that talent, intelligence are all given to us by birth, and we cannot do much about it. Growth mindset, on the other hand, means that every time when we put effort in something, we have a certain amount of intelligence in talent, but it doesn't matter as much as the effort we put into different work. It's very important, of course, to develop the growth mindset, because not only of the way we approach different challenges in our lives, but also it determines the level of happiness. And I would say this is a must read for teachers and for parents especially. And there is a separate chapter for parents, so make sure that even if you don't want to read the whole book, you at least read this chapter, because whether we install growth mindset or fixed mindsets to our kids develops on very early on. So she has lots of experiments with children when they're 4 years of age, to show that already at that stage they manifest their mindset, whether it's growth or fixed. So I love this book. I revisited it recently, and I can see that lots of my communication to Mika at home is based on what I've learned in the book. There are certain things you have to be aware of. For example, not praising your child in terms of not labeling your child, even in good terms, not saying, oh, you're so good at math, oh, you're so brilliant at exercising, but to praise the effort instead. The third book I cannot show you because it's not really a physical book. You have to download it and listen to it. It's audio book, and it's called Leap First. It is by someone who I highly respect. His name is Seth Godin, and I can realize that lots of my thinking and beliefs and values over the last 5 years since I discovered him have been shaped by his opinions and his books. So the book I have in mind is called Leap First, and it's a talk that he gave in front of lots of entrepreneurs, I don't know, somewhere in New York, I guess, and I must have listened to this audiobook at least 20 times. This is great when you are about to fight your fear on something, or you have something happening in your life and you are afraid to keep going. This book is going to give you this additional boost. It talks about the resistance that we face in our life when we are about to do something meaningful and big, and also it talks about the courage we need to build so that we can share our work, love and art. Regardless what's your position, whether you work for someone or you have your own creative endeavors, I really highly recommend you to check Seth Godin. Not only these books, I'm going to show you another two, Linchpin, another book, it's Must Read, What to Do When It's Your Turn. Just consume everything you can find from Seth Godin. Really go on his blog. He's writing very often. I get his newsletter at least 2 or 3 times a week. And sometimes he says things that we are already aware of, but we forget about them. Sometimes he says something which completely blows up my mind, but it's really someone to look up to. The next pick for me is Tony Robbins, and if you don't know who Tony Robbins is, please stop this video right now, like really right now, and Google Tony Robbins, because he's an amazing human being. I think everyone needs to know about his work and consume his work, because he transformed the life of millions of people, and he has big influence on the way I see life and the way I do my work. But also I know so many people personally who have their lives completely turned around because they followed one of his programs, read his books, or went to his live events. So Tony Robbins, one of the books you can start with is called Awaken the Giant Within, and it's a pretty big book. But if you download the audio version, it's only about 2 hours, an hour and a half, 90 minutes I think, so you can just listen to that, or you can go to any of his events. The one that made a difference for me was the one I purchased a couple of years ago. It's called The Ultimate Edge, and it's 3-part audio personal development program. And their essential message is that we are responsible for our feelings, for our thoughts, for our beliefs. Pretty often we operate out of beliefs that somebody else installed in us, parents, society, friends, teachers at school, and make sure that we have beliefs that support us and empower us rather than fail us. So any of his programs or all his books are going to help you to identify, to find clarity about the goals or the intentions you want to put out there, to revisit your beliefs, to know out of which needs you operate, because people have different needs. Some people have needs of significance, some people may have the need of recognition, other people of safety. So you know what personally for you works, so that you can work on either amplifying these needs or finding balance with other needs as well. And at the same time, he talks a lot about taking massive action, because nothing happens without action. He gives you this boost because of the way he speaks, because of the words he chooses. He's been doing lots of neuro-linguistic programming, which means that the language we choose, the way we talk to ourselves and to the others matter. It creates different connections in our brain. And he talks a lot about the physiology, so how physiology drives as well our emotional states and our thoughts and beliefs. Highly recommend everything from Tony Robbins. If you can afford to go to any of his live events, called Unleash the Power Within, for example, that was the last one I went. Please do so, because this guy is really, really, really amazing. So the last book I want to talk to you about is The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. Steven Pressfield is author of fiction and non-fiction books, as well as screenplays. I like this one. I love Turning Pro and Do the Work, I think, are the more recent one that are built upon this theme. In this book, he talks about that many of us live 2 lives. We have a life that we live and life which is within us, but we never express out there, because every time when we want to find our calling, or every time when we want to put our art out there, we face the ugly face of the resistance. And resistance can show up in many different ways. It's universal, it's fueled by fear, but the resistance is what it's gonna show us what are the things that matter in our life. So if there is something which you wanna do for quite some time, but you feel this resistance, you feel this fear, this is an indicator for you that you have to go full force into it. He talks about turning pro. Some people go through life as amateurs, some people go through life as professionals. And turning pro means you have to do the work even if you don't feel like it. So this is a book that I go back to and consult when I feel blocked and I don't feel like I want to finish some of my projects. This is the books that I go back to. It helps me recognize that we all face resistance. Resistance is here for a reason. It shows us that we are on the right way. And he says that resistance is always much stronger at the end when we are almost completed with the task at hand. So again, I recommend this book. He's an author. He wrote it from the point of view of an author and writers, how they have to push themselves to sit down and write. But it's not only about that. It's for everyone who wants to create something and share it with the world, everyone who wants to do some meaningful work, or especially for people who wants to fight procrastination. So these are my 5 picks for you guys today, and I probably will do a second part if you want to hear more about other books that made a difference in my life. As I said, I am a great consumer of personal development books, programs, workshops. I spent lots of money of going and educating myself and working on my professional development, other on-life events, workshops, or with professional coaches as well. And I must say, it's very important what you feed your mind with. So, these 5 books are a great start if you haven't read them. They're full of practical tips as well, and especially for parents, please don't forget the Mindset book of Carol Dweck. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumb up, share it with your friends, and leave me a comment in the comment box below with some of your favorite personal development books. Jump on my webpage, and I hope I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye!